Y'all, so I'm watching Tyler Perry. I'm laughing because I'm always watching the Tyler Perry show. Tyler Perry be sucking me in, right? But this is a show that I feel like not a lot of people know about. I assume it's supposed to be like the spin-off, not really spin-off, but the male version of his show Sisters. It's called Bruh. And y'all know that's one of my favorite words, so why not watch it, right? So I started watching it last year, and I stopped. Like, I watched all the episodes, I think it was last year, and I stopped. And now I'm like 2 seasons behind. I didn't even know it came back on, right? Anyway, I'm catching up, and one of the characters was dating this woman on and off. And turns out he runs into her, finds out she's getting married or something like that. Oh, no. He runs into her, and they end up sleeping together. And then he found out she's getting married. And then he had an epiphany that he wanted to be with her, and he needed to be with her, and she didn't need to get married, right? So he went, ruined her wedding. And I mean, ruined her wedding. Like, while the shit was going on, he walked up in there like, no, marry me, or be with me, whatever. I don't remember. It was a little bit a while away. I need to make these videos right after I watch it so that my memory's potent. But anyway, so he ruined her wedding, and she was supposed to leave the state or whatever. Long story short, she came back. Now they're together. He convinced her to be with him, right? So she basically thinks he's just full of shit, and she doesn't really believe what he's promising because he's always had commitment issues. So it's not that she didn't want to be with him, it's that she just felt like he was not ready for the commitment that she wanted. Obviously, marriage, as she was, halfway down the aisle getting married, or down the aisle, whatever, she was getting married, right? So clearly she wants, a family, she wants marriage, she wants that whole thing, and he wasn't ready to give it to her, so she went with someone else. Now that he's ruined her wedding and they're back together, she tells him like, oh, I want to get married. And he's like, yeah, okay, maybe like next year. And she's like, no. And he's like, no. She's like, no. She's like, I was about to get married. So in her head, it's like, okay, well, I was getting married, like literally minutes away from being married, and you fucked my shit up. So now I need to get married. And he's like, yeah, next year, basically, because he, as we know, have commitment issues. That was your issue with him in the first place. So my girl goes, no, tomorrow. And he's like, what? So she basically went, I want to get married tomorrow. You messed up my thing. It was this whole thing, and she was basically like, I'm getting married tomorrow. So he was like, all right, yeah. But you could see it in his face that he was not happy with it, right? Fast forward to tomorrow. I gotta give y'all backstory. I'm sorry. And y'all be calling me boring, but this is how I talk. Anyway, fast forward to tomorrow. And she's like showing him the dress she got to pick out, whatever. And he's like, oh, yeah. And she's like, oh, you should get a suit. He's like, I have a suit. It's perfect. I'm gonna go get it. So he leaves. This man goes to his friend. This is what they do. They kind of just go to their boys, like how sisters, I don't know if you guys are familiar. If you're not familiar, it's like 4 girlfriends that kind of go to each other and it's their everyday dealings and what's happening, right? So this man goes to his friend, one of his boys, and starts telling him that she wants to get married, and he doesn't want to get married, and all this good stuff. And of course, she walks in when he's telling him that, and she has his face on like, so she gives him an ultimatum. Be there at, I think she said 3:30, 3 o'clock, or that's it. It's over. Like, either come get married or I'm done, right? So he leaves there. He goes to another person. Same shit. right? And they basically tell him, like, listen, just get married. Like, you say you love her. They asked him if he loved her. He said yes, more than anything in the world. This, that, and the third. But his concern is that he doesn't want to be with just one woman. He's like, why would I get married when there's all these chicks I can still fuck? Even though he supposedly loves her more than anything else in the entire world, he does not want to marry her because he thinks there's other vaginas he didn't get to stick yet. Right? I'm not going to say it's typical male behavior. It's behavior because there's women who think like that as well. But it's not making sense to me. If this is the person, you found the person that you love more than anything and anyone else in the world, and you still don't want to marry them because you think there's other women that you need to have sex with, or you still have the urge or whatever. Like, the thing is that when you get married, it doesn't turn off your attraction to other people. People say you do. I only have eyes for him. You tell me when you get married that all of a sudden everybody else in the world is ugly. That's false. I don't care how much y'all want to cap. That is 1,000% false. If that's what you want to tell your spouse, your wife, or your husband, that's fine. But we all know that's false. Like, come on. You see attractive people every day, bruh. That doesn't mean you have to go try to sleep with them. But either way, I digress. He feels like that's why he doesn't need to get married, because he's still attracted to a lot of women and he still wants a lot of women. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, someone spoke to him and was like, just get married. Worst case, you get divorced, basically. So he gets married, and then after he gets married, they go see one of his friends, and she's gushing, she's all happy, and he's like, yeah. And then he goes to one of the other women he used to sleep with, who's also a therapist. This storyline is very loaded, as is, it's Tyler Perry, so what do we expect? But he's basically like, oh, see, I got married. And she's like, okay, so why are you talking to me? He's like, but I still want you, and there's other women, like, a fuck up. Anyway, that whole 7 minutes of video was to beg the question: do you marry somebody because they want to be married and you eventually feel like you can be married to them? Or do you wait until you're ready to be married? I'm going to just make a whole nother video because that was long. So we'll call this part 1.